What a blessing to be able to meet people that.
Yeah, yeah, that share the same perspective, man. It's wild, because like the concepts in OWASP that I've read so far, and I haven't got through the whole book like you may have, but like right now, me and my fiance, we're shout out to my baby, she's in the chat right there.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, Keishla, that's my fiance right there, man. But like we're going through the book of knowledge right now, and
Oh,
dude, it is loaded, man. It is loaded. I'm telling you, it's just like concept after concept and questions that everybody has asked about the world. And it's just right there in your face, answers after answers. And it's just like, goodness, I didn't even know this shit even was explainable until I got to a WASP, man. So I
well,
really do.
the
Go
book.
ahead, go ahead.
Oh no, no, that's fine. Trying to think of where, how far along the book of knowledge is. Is it past Escra or?
Yes, it's close to the back of the book. It is.
Yeah, so you're almost at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and
So,
just
how long
go
have
ahead.
you, how long have you been a Faithist? When did you? What's your story of how a wasp came into your life? Because everyone's got like a really interesting story about that.
Okay, wouldn't say mine is too significant, but at the same time, it was life changing for me. Just I started off like I grew up Christian as well, Baptist, and my mom's a minister, so
Oh,
I was in the church every Sunday.
yeah.
Just being a kid though, not really understanding what's going on. And I've seen some stuff like demon possessed people crawling around on the ground like snakes. And dude, that will scare you straight, dude. I swear.
Got you,
uh,
man.
yeah, it was wild coming up in Christianity, but I also loved it. The community in Christianity is always a fun thing. It's always a good thing.
Hmm.
But getting older, getting out of high school, went to college for a couple of years, and then my parents got a divorce, and I ended up moving down to Dallas, Texas, for on my own for a little bit. And man, oof, it was rough because I knew I needed a spiritual lifestyle, but I didn't really care for it since I was young. And
Hmm.
on the way coming back to Tennessee, because I ended up moving back here, me and my fiance got back together, and that was in a time where I really started digging deep into spirituality. And literally, I was fasting. I did like a week fast with just water alone.
Yeah.
Then I would do like another week fast with water and bread, and like it was a really life changing experience because you feel completely different, like spiritually, once you start doing those things. And
Hmm.
I was looking into all different kinds of religion, Hindu, Muslim, and all different kind of things. And then she came into my life and brought Christianity back in, and I dove face first back into Christianity. It was a breath of fresh air, learning about Jesus, and what really took place after that was me looking at Christianity as a whole and
Hmm.
realizing certain aspects that were like, I really don't understand why this is. Like one thing that I always just kind of never really liked is the fact that they take the humanity out of Jesus. That
Oh
was something. Yeah, I really hated it because yeah, I get it. He's God. He's God. He's God. I get that. But he was born a human. He grew up as a child. He became a teenager. He went through puberty. Everybody knows what puberty's like,
yeah.
man.
Hmm.
So it's like once you take that aspect out and just put him on a pedestal at a certain pedestal, it's like what all can I get from that? It's not really teaching me how to be a human. It's teaching me how God came in human form and really just being a God on earth,
Yeah.
and it
It's
was,
like taking your ability away, and all you can do is be helpless.
yeah, yeah, it was literally kind of like that. So that sent me on a journey to find out like who is the real historical Jesus, not the God, but the human,
Hmm.
and it took me into a deep rabbit hole, and I started finding out about the Nazarene stuff and how he was a Nazarene. I started finding out about his travels. That was what blew me away, because like when he was 12 years old, he went like 300 miles to Jerusalem by himself just to go teach in the synagogue. What makes you think he's not going to travel all the way to India or somewhere deeper into Africa by himself, once he gets later on in his years? And it was
Mm,
just like, I don't understand why we missing the whole portion of his life from the age of 12 all the way to the age of 30. That always bothered me. And then I came across Malachi McAfee. I don't know if you know who he is, but shout out to him if he's
yeah.
watching. But I came across his work, and he dwelled, like, he went way deeper into Jesus, and I was like, okay, this is the Jesus that I really expected to hear,
Mm,
because I've always had a certain expectation of who God was and who Jesus was, and I just wasn't getting enough of that in the church, because it was mostly, if you're doing wrong, you're going to hell. Jesus was a good person, but the one thing that he talked about the most was hell. It's like I got tired of hearing that. And I
mm,
just want to figure out who he was. And just listening to Malachi, it was like, okay, he was born, and he grew up literally as a young man that had a spiritual sense, a spiritual knowing of what he was supposed to do on this earth, and he took that not only into Jerusalem, but he took that abroad, and
yeah.
finding out his travels to India and Tibet and all these different places, and him going through basically the same phase that happened to him in Jerusalem over in those places, because he's teaching a light of, you don't have to go to anybody to go straight to your God or straight to your creator,
Mm,
and that resonated with me so well. And then one day he ended up having Selah Shalom on his channel, and Selah brought out the Owaspi, and he said some significant stuff, and I was just like, you know what? I just gotta go check this out for myself.
yeah.
I can't. This is something that I just can't look past, because it's talking about the creator instead of it talking about, the God of this or the God of the Old Testament, the God of the Jews, the God of
Mm,
Egypt, and all that. No, it's talking about the creator who created the universe,
yeah.
and when I finally got into the Owaspy and bought it, I read literally the Book of Jehovah, and it was like, whoa.
Mm,
It was just like, well, that's a lot to sink in right there. That's quite a bit to take in. And one of the reasons, like literally in the first couple of verses, it talks about how he's both female and male in terms of energy.
mm,
And that's something that I felt that was always left out in Christianity and in other religions. Like, it's always a male God. It's always something male. He's doing this. He's doing this. He's a man of war. But everybody forgets about, like, there are literally women on earth, and they're here for a reason,
mm,
and in a sense, like, they have a deeper spiritual connection than us men do, but at the same time, it just gives and takes. But like, a woman has to give birth. Like, where does that aspect come from? If he's a man, how does he just make a woman from nothing? It's it was a weird concept to me. And then I got into a waspy, and it was like, man, that's a lot deeper than what I expected, but it makes honestly all the sense in the world. And I just can't look past it. But like, I got into that, and the rest is history, man. The rest is history from there.
how did you introduce a waspy to your fiance? Or
Ooh, that's oh man, now that was a process. I'm not
and
even going to you
and
that
have you told your
that was,
parents, your
yeah.
mom?
Yeah, and before I give it to my fiance, I remember going to my mom and telling her I wasn't a Christian anymore. And, I told you she was a minister. So, it definitely hit deep for her, because she was like, well, whoa, like, well, what do you mean? And then I had to just break it down, because I've done the history on Christianity, and it was like, they really conquered the world. And nobody likes to ever bring that up,
Yeah, with
and it's
a
all in
sword.
the exactly with the sword. And it's like, man, I don't rock with that. I don't like violence. That's
Yeah.
not who I am, you know. And I was like, you know, I can't attach my name to something that is also put specifically my people in the dirt, you know. And I, then with my fiance, she was Christian to the bone, man. Christian to the bone.
Oh my.
And when I say when I came to her with these different concepts and aspects, it was bickering between me and her. You know,
Uh,
it's a deep conversation to have with somebody on two different perspectives. So it wasn't easy, you know. So there was a point where I just had to keep myself from those conversations, but I never stopped learning. So I would just be around the house listening to videos, you know, just listening to different people talk about the OWASP. And as I'm learning, she's ear hustling, you know, and I remember we got to talking one day and she was just like, you know what? I've been listening to what you've been listening to, basically, and they make a lot of sense. And I'm just like, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Trust me. If you just ever want to dive deep, just ask me any questions that you
mm,
want. And she was like, I don't know about that right now because, you know, I've been with Christianity so long and this is just something brand new. And I don't feel right in my spirit about it, you
yeah.
know? And it was like, I completely understand. So I really, I continued to like just leave her alone, not talk to her much about that at all because I didn't want to interrupt her faith and
Yeah.
how she believed. Because one of the important things that I love about Owaspy, and this is how I've been as a person my whole life, is don't force anything on anybody.
Hmm.
You know, it's not good to do that because you're just going to push them away at the end of the day. You know, and that's basically what I did. And lo and behold, she started asking more and more questions, and I just was explaining to her, you know, and she was like, "Okay, okay, you kind of got me, but." I still can't let go. You know,
That's
and
a hard journey, man. We can all relate how hard that journey is.
oh,
Oh my
oh,
goodness.
it's a tough journey, man. It really is a tough journey. And like she just recently started reading it herself, and she literally was like, you know what, I I can't be upset about it anymore. I can't be mad about it anymore. Like my spirit feels calm just hearing the words of this book. You know, it's not like it's going into something that's demonic or something that's not a part of a human experience. You know,
Hmm.
it's literally helping humanity to become better.
Yo,
You
you know
know,
what's
and
interesting?
yeah,
I've the few people who have heard of a waspy that oppose it
mm,
talk about automatic writing and John and all of his little shortcomings. No one ever debates the actual principles and
right,
the sort of philosophy or the truths found in it. Or
yeah,
they'll focus on not being able to prove all of the history. But the concept, like to me at this point in my life with the wasping, you could literally prove it to be a fraud, and I would still believe it because the concepts are so true.
yeah,
The
yeah.
concepts is what keeps me hanging around.